I just tried to keep everyone calm the whole time. It was very scary to have the water and the river flowing underneath us all night long.
Surreal. People in Florida waking up today to widespread devastation after Hurricane Ian slammed into the state's southwestern coast. At least 15 deaths have been reported so far, and officials fear that number could be much higher. Downgraded to a tropical storm as it moved east, but has since upgraded again to a hurricane.
Gloria Pazmino reports with the latest on the rescue efforts and mass devastation the storm caused.
As daylight broke Thursday, it revealed catastrophic devastation in Florida in the wake of Hurricane Ian. Entire neighborhoods underwater, power lines turned down, debris scattered in streets. Residents in Florida now trying to pick up the pieces.
If I would have knew it was going to be this bad, I would have got me and my family out ahead of time.
Search and rescue crews from multiple agencies rushing to help people trapped in their homes. But in areas like Sanibel Island, it's impossible to get there by car because the causeway is the only connection to Florida's mainland, and it's now in pieces.
As you can imagine, it is pretty devastating. And what it really does is left the place almost unrecognizable in some places.
Hurricane Ian slammed Florida's southwestern coast Wednesday as a Category 4 storm, bringing life-threatening storm surge, historic flooding, and winds near 150 miles per hour. But it's not just the coast that was slammed. As the storm turned east, it dumped rain on central Florida, triggering freshwater flooding.
This could be the deadliest hurricane in Florida's history.
As Florida assesses the devastating damage, President Joe Biden saying the federal government will be sending funds for emergency response efforts. In Fort Myers, Florida, I'm Gloria Pazmino reporting.
We continue our Hurricane Ian coverage as Fort Myers, a popular spot for Midwestern transplants, and one from right here in Indiana, starting to put the pieces back together after yesterday's historic storm.
News 8's Danielle Zukoski joins us now. So Danielle, talk to us about this journey through Hurricane Ian.
Well, I talked to one Indiana native named Jacqueline Beavis. She said she lived through Hurricane Irma in 2017, but says that was nothing compared to what she personally saw during Hurricane Ian. She and her husband stayed in Fort Myers through the storm, but when the surge started pushing in on their home, they fled to higher ground.
It was one of the most dangerous experiences I've seen and been through. We stayed in our home for a long period of time.
Jacqueline Beavis's home is surrounded by water. She has a canal behind it and the Caloosahatchee River in front.
It was coming up within feet of our home. So we made the decision at that point in time. It was quiet enough in the storm, and it was the safest time to leave our home. It was a tough decision to make, but a decision that had to be made at that time.
Beavis was forced to make this decision for the safety of her rapidly growing family.
I'm also 39 weeks pregnant, so we have a lot going on. But you know what? It's been a really eye-opening experience. It reminds you of what everyone always says, that all this stuff is just stuff.
She says the second floor of her house is still livable, so she'll have somewhere to bring her baby when it comes.
I've been told that babies come whether you're ready or not, so ready or not, we will have a baby sometime in the next week.
Beavis says not knowing what would be left of her home caused the most anxiety.
It was difficult, but I don't know. I think in some ways I told myself it would all be gone, and in some ways I told myself it would all be perfect, and we got a little bit down the middle.
She says the damage is widespread, and she and her husband are going to start picking up the pieces to welcome the newest member of their growing family. In the newsroom, Danielle Zukoski, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.
Danielle, thank you. Even more Hoosier helpers on their way to Florida to assist in hurricane relief efforts. More than a dozen Indiana National Guard soldiers set off this morning.
News 8's Camila Fernandez was at this morning's departure and has more on what lies ahead.
They're in a bad situation in Florida right now, and And we have the time and resources here in Indiana to help out, so it feels good to be able to help the community.
Several Indiana National Guard soldiers with the 38th Infantry Division's Aviation Brigade are taking their love for helping people to new heights. On Thursday, groups of soldiers boarded 2 UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters with the goal to assist military and civilian agencies. They'll be joined by 3 flight crews and mechanics.
With some of the power outages and things like that, people might not have access to necessary items needed for survival, like water, clean water, things like that.
There's a lot of work ahead for these soldiers. They'll be depending on helicopters like this one to help civilians.
Some of these areas that are still underwater, you can't necessarily get to them by ground vehicles, or it might be a little bit slower in a boat or something like that. So getting there through the air in the helicopter, it gives that much needed reprise.
The helicopters have a capacity of about 9,000 pounds and will carry things like water, food, and medical supplies.
I'd say I'm excited. This is something we train for weekly and daily, something we think about, and it feels good to be able for all that training to come to fruition and able to help out people that are needed.
The soldiers say they plan to arrive to Tampa, Florida tomorrow. In Shelbyville, Camila Fernandez, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.
Indiana Task Force 1 also sending even more help to Florida. An additional 35 members left for the state today. 48 are already heading south towards Tampa to help with recovery efforts. According to the Task Force 1 program director, Tom Neal, he explains why more members are needed.
So the state of Florida, based on the impact of the storm, has made the indication that they need the additional resources to help facilitate the search and rescue operations in their state.
Neal goes on to say team members are prepared to do wide area searches as well as several water operations. Task Force 1 says they expect to be in Florida for at least 2 weeks. Grab your phone and scan the QR code on the screen right now if you're looking to lend a hand and help those impacted by Hurricane Ian's destruction. That will take you to the As Seen on Wish TV section on our website, wishtv.com. And we stay now with Hurricane Ian coverage, but now we go to Storm Track 8 Chief Meteorologist Ashley Brown.
So Ashley is here with the very latest on the devastating storm. Ashley.
All right, so at some point today, Ian was downgraded to a tropical storm. But at around 5 p.m., the 5 p.m. advisory, the system did upgrade back to a Category 1 storm with winds of 75 miles per hour. So a low-end Category 1 storm is what we're looking at with Ian. You can see that it's headed towards South Carolina. It will bring, of course, a third landfall. Of course, the first landfall happening out of the country, and then the second in Florida, third here coming as we head into parts of South Carolina, bringing very heavy rain. Of course, it's moving very slowly, and this is the reason for the flooding. You get storm surge, and you get a slow-moving storm that's bringing some heavy rain, also the wind, of course. With this system and the track of it, so between now and tomorrow afternoon, making its third landfall, and it will continue to move as a tropical depression, bringing cloud cover and rain along the coast. So the impacts of this system will be felt for days, and of course cleanup taking quite a while. These are the warnings that are out. We now have parts of South Carolina under a hurricane warning right now. We also still see tropical storm warnings for parts of Florida there. Now, as far as the system impacting us, it will not. I do think this system slides up the East Coast bringing rain, but the influence of cloud cover will be felt for parts of Ohio into Atlanta there, as the cloud cover will thicken as that moisture kind of slides up to the north and east. Over to you.